Let's talk about the challenges, but before we can get into it, we should talk about where we're at. Because like I said, you could pick really any challenge and it would be challenging in education. But for what we see most commonly in Ontario with the education customers we get, they're dealing with those similar problems. But we all know every organization is a little bit different, and everybody is at a different level in their maturity and their growth and their size, and what they're trying to accomplish. And so depending on what you're trying to accomplish as an IT department and as an education organization, what your goals are going to be different, and how we try and solve these solutions will be different. And it's also worth noting that if you're just getting started and trying to set up some of this automation stuff, then you're going to start with the small wins and then you're going to work your way up. Whereas if you're significantly more mature along the way, then you're going to be looking for some of these more complicated solutions. And so everything we talk about today, we're going to talk about the bare minimum of how we would get started with it, how you'd expand, and how you become the super master. So, but first, let's talk through the different levels of maturity that we experience. We made a general standardization of the different maturity levels of our IT departments that we work with. And I'll just briefly run through them to give you some context. So the first level is a cost center, or basically firefighting. It's the way a lot of the businesses see IT, and it's just you're here to answer the questions, make sure the real employees can do their job, and yeah, just make sure things work, and that's it. And you're mostly firefighting and just trying to keep up with it. And so if you're at that level, your goal should be to get up to level 2, which is a controlled service delivery, meaning when your busy times of the year are, you staff accordingly for that. You have some framework supply, you have some standard templates, you have some standard behaviors that make it easier for you to do your job, and the organization knows exactly what to expect from you. And you deal with the organization accordingly. So things that are urgent actually get dealt with urgently, and things that aren't urgent end up in the queue. And you have a more controlled approach to how you do things, and hopefully some standardized reporting available and some standardized knowledge available. The level beyond that is level 3, where we're actually enjoying a customer-centric experience. So we're not just worried about getting the work done, but we want our customers to actually enjoy interacting with IT, find it easy, and when they do interact with IT, they find it's easier to do their job afterwards, and it's easy to get a hold of IT. So you see a lot of stuff at this level where we try and collaborate better with other departments. We try and make it easier to submit requests and help yourself out, and try and get more synergy between the various tools we're using so that it's easy for your end user to get help. Level 4 is if you're quite a mature education organization, and that's where you have a business alignment with the business. So the business is no longer looking at IT as a cost center, but now they're looking at you as a guide for the next steps of where the business should be going. And you have a special point of view being somebody who works in IT, because your day-to-day work is changing things, updating things, going to the new way of doing things. And so your mind is oriented that way. You're comfortable with change, and you're comfortable with presenting new solutions on better ways to do things. And as a result, your department can give a lot of guidance to the rest of the business and to other departments on how to make it easier to do our jobs, right? Oh, there's actually an app for that this other department's using. You can hop onto it for not much cost, and it would save you a lot of time. Or, it would be a lot better if we all used the same process for this one particular thing, and it will really help make it easier for us to work together. And you can guide the business on how it can better service your customers and do your end goal, which is educate our users and make it easy to educate our students. And then level 5 is where you can touch occasionally, and then the world changes and we need to grow a little bit more. But level 5 right now would represent a very agile IT department that's able to answer things in their SLAs. There's a constant attitude of improvement. You're probably introducing a fair bit of automation at this point, and a lot of your service requests are automated. And you may be just starting to dip your toes into some AI functionalities at that point. Okay, so there's a broad overview of the different levels that you might expect to find yourself at. And for the most part, when we meet our education customers for the first time and they're switching service management tools, They're typically somewhere between a level 1 and a level 2.5. So they're trying to get to a customer-centric approach, but they're still working through the processes of getting their heads out of firefighting.